Okay, so we are going to talk about the Rhone Valley very quickly. It probably won't be quick because I'm doing it, but I'll talk about a little bit of the history. So 600 BC, that's what we were talking about in the Rhone Valley. The Greeks came over, they planted the vines in France, they came up the Marseille, which is in southern France, and basically they were using amphorae, which is like these clay things that they put like wine in, which is crazy. So that's how far like wine actually started and was here, and it's pretty amazing. And the Romans were the ones that made the terraces. So in the Rhone Valley you will actually have vineyards that are terraced, and to see it, I have never actually gotten to go to Rhone. I got to do Burgundy. I'm hoping to get to go to Rhone Valley to see the terraces, but I see all the pictures and I've studied it, and it's amazing, you know, what they did like that many years ago to figure out that they built that. It's just unbelievable. But the wine was booming like in the Dark Ages, and then the Catholic Church, they had to come back and they revived the wine. And the first AOP was actually in Châteauneuf-du-Pape area, so that's super important. It was like 1936. And then in the 17th century in Rhone, they actually exported wine up to the Loire Valley, so that's pretty cool too. Then in the 18th and 19th century, Hermitage, if everybody's heard about that, that became famous. And just kind of, I'm running down a little bit of history of this. 1863, phylloxera hit. Phylloxera is like this root louse, which I didn't talk about it in the whole scheme of things, but it was like this really bad root louse, and then they had to like figure out how they were going to plant different stocks, and like American stock, root stock, and they did this system with grafting, and that's probably another video. But it's phylloxera basically ruined all of the world's vineyards, and there was like just a few places that didn't have to replant. So it's a really amazing story, and it's kind of bizarre, but that happened here in 1863. And then, like I was talking about, this was where the first AOP, so AOP is Appellation de Contrôle. That was what it was called. Now you can call it AOP, but that was basically when they started to make all the rules for like all the wines. So if you've ever heard of Italy, they have something called DOC, DOCG. You know, you have the AOC in France. You have all these different places that have all these rules, like Super Tuscans, now they call them IGTs in Italy. But basically all of the models for all over the world, even like with food, it really started with in 1936 at Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So that is really cool and something you probably didn't know. And then we go into the 20th century with Burgundy and Bordeaux. So that's when they start to prevail instead of the Rhone. So 20th century, instead of Rhone being like the mega wine capital of everything, it started to turn into Bordeaux and Burgundy, which is kind of great for us because Rhone wine is like amazing, and you can find so many great values in Rhone. I actually drink a lot of Rhone wine at home. And also the barrels that they use in Rhone, just a side note, they use something called Foudre, which is 500 liters. So the main grapes in Rhone Valley. So in the, I will show you my map. So we have, this is the Rhone Valley, and you'll see all my notes because this is sommelier notes. And up here on this northern half, it's Syrah is the major red grape. If you've ever heard of Shiraz, Shiraz and Syrah are the same grape, and Syrah is predominantly here. These wines are super age-worthy. If you've ever heard of Côte Rôtie, which we have one of those. Sorry, I have to check the door. So this is Saint Combe. This is, if you can see this is a Côte Rôtie, and that is the name of the village. And it's amazing, just like a town. It's right up in here. There's also the Cornas village as well. And those guys are, these wines will age forever. They are amazing. Those are outstanding. And St. Combe is like one of my favorite producers ever. So that wine is going to be from Syrah. Another thing that they do up here is Viognier. Viognier is a white grape, okay? And they can put a little bit of Viognier in the Syrah if they want to balance it out. But Viognier will be the white grape that is actually grown in northern Rhone. And the white grape Viognier has more like, it's more peach, a lot of peach qualities, kind of like this fruit loopy aroma, super pretty, super fun. And I definitely think if you haven't had a Viognier, I mean, not a Viognier, a Viognier from Rhone Valley, you should do that. I'm thinking Viognier because we were just talking about Viognier in Loire Valley like the last segment. So I'm like, but Viognier too is really good. And Viognier, just so you know, they're growing a lot of Viognier here in Virginia. So really, the birthplace and the main place for Viognier is going to be here in the northern Rhone in France. So this is where it's done really, really well and really where it kind of originated from. So you should definitely check out Viognier here and have one in this area, and then go and get one from Virginia and try it and see what you think. But it's pretty cool. Also, if you go down into this section, which is southern Rhone, so it's kind of broken up into different sections, and there's different soils here as well. In the southern Rhone, you're going to have Châteauneuf-du-Pape, where they have these, like, they're called pudding stones, called galets, and it's really nice. They kind of look like that. You can look online and get images if you want to do that, like I said, from like Google, so you can actually see the soil. They retain like heat really well, and one thing with vines, you actually want to stress the vine, so it's a really great soil. But you have all of your Côte de Rhone basically down here. You'll have a little bit of, it kind of borders the line, some of that Côte de Rhone, but a lot of the Côte de Rhone is going to be everything basically down here. The major grape is Grenache. So it'll be Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre are the main three grapes that you're going to see from here down. There are 13 grapes in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. I can do that in a different segment. Actually, there's more than that, but if you kind of interchange some things. But there's several grapes that you can put in a Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and that gets kind of technical, and we'll get into that later. But and we can do a whole thing on Châteauneuf-du-Pape. I might just do that just for fun. But anyway, that's where southern Rhone is going to be. Gigondas, if you've ever heard of that, that's going to actually be in southern Rhone. So Rhone Valley has fantastic wines. This is one of my favorite places. And you have Marsanne and Roussanne. We call those the Bobbsey twin grapes. Marsanne and Roussanne are for white wines in the Rhone Valley. So if you've never had a Marsanne and Roussanne, this is the place that you get them. They're using a lot of Marsanne and Roussanne too in Australia. I know there's one that you can get. It's called the Hermit Crab. That's a really good wine out of Australia. But right now we're going to talk about this. It's really cool. You also see the Rhone River that goes right through the middle. And when you become a sommelier, you kind of have to know which village is on which side of the river, which is really fun and really cool. Well, let me tell you about some of the wines that we have. We could talk about this forever, and we could go into super detail, but today we're not going to do that. I might start doing that if I get really bored and need something else to do, because this quarantine stuff's killing me. So let's talk about Palatard. So this is really fun, and I kind of like this because I have two producers from two different villages. So this is the same producer, and then this is a Côte de Rhone, so this is more the affordable guy. So this is Grenache based, and so is this, but this is the Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So this is going to have a lot more structure, bigger wine. Châteauneuf-du-Pape village is more age-worthy. So this is the big bad boy. I call this the big gun. It's the one, you know, it's like you want to have this with steak, whatever. But if you're going to have several different dishes and you just want kind of like a table wine, something kind of fun for dinner, the Côte de Rhone is going to be the way to go. And this is Palatard as well. This is very important for servers. Some of my servers messed this up a couple of times. We won't talk, actually one time, we won't talk about that, but we accidentally served a Châteauneuf-du-Pape for a Côte de Rhone, and I found out about it, and I was very angry. It happens, it happens. But if you'll see, I don't know if you can tell, but you can look it up online. That's the Côte de Rhone, and then you also have Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and you'll see the Pope's hat here. and we will get into Chateauneuf-du-Pape at a later time. But this is the one that's got that really cool soil called the Galettes. And this is another wine. This is one of my favorite Chateauneuf-du-Papes I want to talk about. 2016 Domaine du Banneret. We've been serving that for a really long time, and we brought this wine here. We had Jeff from Williams Corner to come out to Hot Springs. He'd never been out here, and we were like, please come out and visit us. We will do anything that we can to have you to come out and check us out. And you know, he was like, well, I don't know. And I said, we're a really small restaurant, and we want to bring in small wines and bring in what you offer. So I was really, really pleased to be able to bring this in to Hot Springs, and I definitely think that you should buy this. If I could, I'd buy cases of this and just drink it every day. But this is one of the best Chateauneuf-du-Papes I think I've ever had. And Paul Attard too, but you should buy these before I drink it all. It's amazing. But that's just kind of a little intro into Rhone Valley and a little kind of thing. One of the things that you get, like if you get a Syrah from, I'll talk about the characteristics. If you get like a Syrah, like a Côte Rôtie, I get these on blind tastings a lot, hint, hint. But one thing I get a lot for Syrah up north is I get bacon. So I get this smoked bacon, smoked meat, really big, full-bodied wine. And I get that a lot in Côte Rôtie. It's very dark and deep and sexy. And the Cornas wines are really good too. A lot of times with the Cornas, I'll get more of like this dried kind of raisiny quality to Cornas. And it's a little earthier. It's a lot earthier than Côte Rôtie to me. And this, you know, the youthful ones, these are going to have like really, really dark fruits. Now, when you get them aged, they all kind of fade out and you'll get all of the dried fruits on them. So I want to talk about the characteristics of the Northern Rhone. And we talked about Viognier. So Viognier actually is predominantly from a village called Condrieu. It's C-O-N-D-R-I-E-U. I have to think about how you spell it for a minute, but Condrieu is where they have the Viognier. It seems to be pretty expensive to get a Viognier out of there, but if you can fit the bill on that, it's definitely worth trying one of those in France. It's delicious, good juice. And then, like I said, the Viognier, that white grape, it's actually being grown a lot in Virginia. So definitely check out some of the Virginia wineries. Virginia wine, it's really good, so you can kind of get a taste of Viognier there as well. But this is the original place in Rhone Valley for Viognier. And remember, it's in the northern Rhone Valley. And then we go to Côtes du Rhône, and we talked about that. And that is basically in the southern Rhone Valley. Grenache is that one. And then we talk about Chateauneuf-du-Pape, which is basically the Pope wine. You'll see the cross keys on there too. You'll see the Pope hat, but this is fantastic. And those are two very, very cool producers. There's so many great producers for Chateauneuf-du-Pape, quite frankly, I can't even count. But Chateauneuf-du-Pape is going to be in the bottom, and it's predominantly Grenache, and it can have several different grapes. And just so you know, you can have a white Chateauneuf-du-Pape and you can have a red Chateauneuf-du-Pape. Who knew that? And with Côtes du Rhône, you can also, you'll find rosés as well. And definitely it's getting ready to be rosé season. We do have a rosé here in the cooler, so you look online for that and we can get one of those for you. But I think I could talk about Rhone like all day long. This was like one of my favorite things to talk about when I took my test. And then it's really weird because even with northern and southern Rhone, there's like different climates, and there's like this mistral wind, and it gets really geeky. But Rhone is like super fun, but I'm trying not to geek out too much because you might not want to watch it anymore. But for the people who want to get geeky, maybe we can all study together. It'll be fun. All right, so I hope you learned about Rhone, and I have a couple more segments I have to do today, so I guess I gotta get busy. Oh, Rhone Valley, just remember, Cornas, roasted slopes. There's another one.